I don't trust black women with blonde hair. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. It's because it just screams fake to me. Like there is something psychologically wrong with you, to whereas you'll happily put on a color of a hair that doesn't really and it's not just like black women. Like if I see like white women with the pink hair or the blue hair and stuff like that, like Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim, I don't trust her at all. But we live in a time now where hoaxing and creating a atmosphere of, oh, I'm a victim and I'm being victimized, and all of the accolades and pats on the backs and attaboys that come along with it has really just taken hold and run. Yesterday, the story of Erica Thomas was all over the internet. This lady was crying, bawling her eyes out about how this white man called her lazy and told her to go back to where she came from and all this other stuff. Well, there seems to be more to the story. Man denies telling U.S. politician Erica Thomas to go back where you came from. Eric Sparks admit berating lawmaker, but says comment wasn't racially charged. This LeBron James, Jussie Smollett, and there's really like endless more examples of people who are trying to use race as a means to hoist themselves up, get themselves some attention, and seem as if they are just so righteous and so about something. And this, I can't help but feel that this lady has done the exact same. This is being brought to us by the Associated Press and via The Guardian. A man has admitted to cursing at a pregnant black lawmaker for taking too many items into a supermarket express lane, but denies telling her to go back where you came from. Eric Sparks showed up during a television interview with Republican State Representative from Georgia, Erica Thomas, on Saturday, outside the Atlanta area Publix store where the incident allegedly occurred, the station reported. Okay, so she's a Republican at that. That's interesting. Sparks denied making any racially charged comment, saying, "I am Cuban." Thomas confronted Sparks in front of reporters and said he had degraded and berated her. So he admits, he admits he checked her, but didn't say all that go back to where you came from stuff. In a tearful Facebook video posted on Friday, Thomas said she had been in the express line at the store because she was 9 months pregnant and could not stand for long. And this white man comes up to me and says, "You lazy SOB," Thomas said, sobbing as she described the confrontation in the video. He says, "You lazy SOB, you need to go back where you came from." Probably said home, like go home. Thomas's video went viral, and the hashtag I Stand With Erica trended on Twitter. On Saturday, Sparks told reporters he called her a vulgarity but did not say anything racial. Thomas said Sparks was just trying to make himself look better. Sparks said he was a Democrat and was being unjustly attacked for political purposes. Thomas said on Friday that she never identified herself to Sparks as a public official. She said she was so taken aback by his actions that she didn't think to try to record them. She said she notified police and will seek store video. In a statement, Publix said the company was cooperating with local law enforcement as they look into the matter. The incident came days after President Trump tweeted that 4 congressmen of couleur I'm really kind of confused about like the way people write color, because I've seen it written that way, but I guess that might be like a international thing. I'm not sure. Including Somali-born Ilhan Omar from Minnesota should go back to the broken and crime-infested countries they came from. In her video, Thomas alluded to those attacks and accused the president of inciting hatred. During the television interview, she said Sparks needs to be held accountable because people can't just go out and berate pregnant women. What about the guys that get berated, huh? Yeah, she ain't worrying about that. She's like, he spazzed on her for doing something that she shouldn't have been doing. If you got more than, if you are in the express line, and I do it myself. You'll take a couple extra items into the express line, but if you get called on it, you get called on it. Like, I've been called, and don't get mad at me, but I've been called on parking in a handicap spot, like at an old job that I had where I knew nobody was handicapped there, but one of my coworkers was like, "Hey man, you're parking there?" I'm like, nobody parks it. Like, we got into a back and forth, but ultimately I was like, you know what, like, I'm just gonna move the car because you're very passionate about this and I like you as a person. So I'm not going, so like, this is really not that big a deal. But so there's a lot of people who will step out of their boundaries. Like, I did the video on the guy who was trying to slip. Like, there's things that we do every day that are technically wrong, and if we get called on them, we just kind of gotta like eat it, as opposed to sit there and just argue and go back and forth about it, which I feel isn't helpful at all. So when it comes to the initial incident of her carrying more items than necessary into the express lane, I see where it's like not a big deal, but I also understand that people do tend to take things weirdly serious. I mean, it's amazing. If you've ever been in public, you know that things like this happen. But when it comes to her adding the racial tinge to it, which is reported to have been walked back by her, like she's kind of like saying, well, you know, I mean, he says something that alluded to that, as opposed to like, yeah, that's flat out what he said, after he pops up and goes, wait, no, yeah, I checked you, but I didn't sit there and like racially abuse you. And her, I mean, she was bawling in this in that video. And the what I said in my reply to that tweet was the exact same thing that I said at the beginning of this video. I do not trust like, you know, I can't even put it on black, which is women without a color in their head that looks like it could actually pop in their head. You know, like that color ain't coming out your head, like, at all. So thusly, there's something up with you. There's some psychological thing that leads me to believe that maybe I should just steer clear of your presence. But this is infuriating. It really is, because this isn't the first time, like I said earlier, that this has happened, as far as people using the pain of American descendants to, you know, further their own issue or their own agenda. It's like, fall back. If you cannot stand, or if you can't stand without the pain or the history of the American descendant or slave, or if you can't stand without the history and pain of the Holocaust, like, to prop up your position, then your position ain't got a leg to stand on. Can you dig it? So, with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like. Go ahead. Appreciate it. If dislike it, go ahead. Do that too. I ain't scared, son. Share, because sharing is caring, and YouTube's definitely not going to do it. Speak up. Sub. To get videos like this every single day with my fantastic voice, and speak. Let me know, what do you think in the comments? Do you think this is a hoax? Do you think there's more that's going to come of this? I really don't, because my man popped up. Like, if he ain't pull up on the situation, maybe she'd have a little bit more room, but dude was like, nah, bruh. He made sure he got there. How surprising is it that she's actually an elected Republican? I mean, like, that's where I really, like, completely lost faith in party lines. We live in a world now with no borders or barriers to your lunacy. You know, it comes in all shapes, sizes, forms, and political parties. So until the next one.